In this session, we are going to walk you through the software that was built by SIDBI specifically with micro enterprise lending in mind. The objective of building a specialized micro enterprise lending software by SIDBI was to have a platform which can process large number of loans very quickly with lean workflow processes, because we are in MEL space, we are talking of a large market segment where the loan sizes are small, but the volumes of loans can be very high potentially. Typically, the kind of productivity that we are expecting is you are talking of each loan officer doing maybe 5 loans, 8 loans a month. And you are talking of in each branch having some 5 loan officers, 10 loan officers, depending on the size of the branch dedicated to micro enterprise lending. So with that future in mind, SIDBI wanted to have a robust, scalable, and a top-of-the-line platform which can coexist with your core banking system and integrate with it so that you can process more and more micro-enterprise loans, high volumes of loans done, processing is done faster, better and reliably with great integration with your GL in your core banking. So all these aspects are taken care of. It's an enterprise class system that was built. For technical, some of you technical people who might be interested, this software is built on .NET and the backend is an Oracle database, because most of the banks tend to have Oracle as the backend. So it was a design decision taken by SIDBI that it has to be Oracle backend with .NET frontend, and it uses Ajax interfaces so that the screen reloads do not take too much time. This is from the technology architecture perspective. It is also enough openness so that it can interface with for example, at SIDBI, when this software was fully implemented and we integrated this software with SIDBI's FlexCube GL system, but you can also integrate it to Finacle or TCS's bank system, Bank 2000 or any other core banking system in the world. You can interface MEL with that. Essentially, in the MEL, you are maintaining the subsidiary client loan ledger. Entire loan appraisal processing, right from application inward to appraisal, disbursement, transactions, collections, all these things are managed within the MEL software, and whenever there is a voucher entry, accounting entry that needs to be posted into GL, there is an interface built specifically with each one of your core banking system so that the vouchers are automatically posted into the core banking GL. This is the background of the MEL software. So what we are now seeing on the screen is basically an internet-enabled, web-enabled application. It is a centralized deployment. And what you are seeing here is a demo version of the software, and whichever bank signs up with SIDBI for transfer of MEL knowledge base, those banks will also get access to this software, and this software has to be customized and tweaked a little bit to suit your banking context and also to integrate with your core banking system. With this context in place, let me start the demonstration of the software for you. What you are seeing now on the screen is a login screen. Like any core banking system, it has a concept of a maker, checker, it has a concept of a credit committee member or person who authorizes a loan, it has a concept of admin who has access to virtually the entire software. You can also create other role types. You can have role-based access, configurable role-based access, based on each role, which part of the software, which menus are accessible, which menus need to be not to be shown. All these aspects can be controlled using the configuration screens. So it is a full-fledged ERP type enterprise class software. And now let me first log in as maker just to show you the functionality of the software. I'm logging in as maker here, and please note it is a demo software with very minimal data. So I may not be able to show you everything, but it is good enough to show the functionality and the workflow. Okay. So what you are seeing is a real software, but with very little data. Okay. Now, when you log on to the screen as a maker or a checker or admin, this is what you see on the screen. What you see on the screen is a dashboard. We believe that dashboard enhances the productivity and enhances the ease with which the users can interact with the system. What the dashboard does is it gives a snapshot of the business with the specific context of that particular branch. What it is showing here is you are logged in here, the welcome maker, this is a user ID name on the top right, and here you see in that branch how many loan applications were received that day, in that week, in that month, and for that year. At the bottom you see the transactions. You see that that branch Hyderabad has disbursed 10,85,000 rupees. It is yet to disburse 6,50,000. It has collected nil on this day. It has to collect 1,30,000 as of today. That is the due to be collected. So it gives a snapshot of the business so that at the management level, MIS level, they don't have to really run reports to quickly see what is most important for their business. Obviously, lending has disbursements on one side and collections on the other. So we capture the disbursement and collection information. We also capture the loan applications so that you know that you have got a good pipeline of loans to be processed. And any authorization items pending at any stage, any loan application pending to go to the next stage of appraisal or any sanction to be done, all those authorization items appear here. Right now, we don't have any data there. When it comes to alerts, it also shows you alerts. For example, the alerts here shows that there is a notification at the loan appraisal. There is a loan appraisal form, application form. It is an appraisal stage. There are 7 of them, 7 such loan applications lying in the appraisal stage. There is one installment that is due to be realized, which has to be taken care of. There is one rescheduling that needs to be done for one loan application. So it is giving a snapshot and is alerting the user that you have to act upon these things during the course of the day. On the right here, you see in the calendar, you also have a branch holiday master. We have a default holiday master for the entire bank. So you can have local holidays, branch level holidays, state level holidays, or a national level or a bank level holidays. So both holiday masters are managed, and these holiday masters are taken into consideration when you're doing day begin and day close. So whenever it's a holiday, it automatically skips it. Whenever due date falls on a holiday, it also skips automatically. You can configure that to which day the next due date should fall. All these items are taken care of here. You also have workflow items in case your final loan application, you want to have a workflow based direct approval in the software itself. That's also possible. Here, this dashboard item shows that there are so many applications that are waiting to be approved at the credit committee level. Suppose your credit committee is nothing but your branch manager. The branch manager can actually go and approve from here. So this summarizes the dashboard here. Now we described the dashboard to you. Okay. Now let's move on how the menu screen looks like. At the top, you see there's a comprehensive menu screen, and these menus are based on the role that you're logged in. If you're logged in as a maker, you will not be able to see all the items here. Only items that are relevant to a maker, only such menu items are shown when you're logged on. That's the role-based access for you. So in this case, the most important items are the loan application menu items and the transaction related menu items. First, let's cover these two. As you can see in the loan application, you see that the loan application can go through several stages. We have an application inward. We also have a verification in case you want to have back office verification, where the back office people call the prospective client and do random checks on their KYCs or loan amounts applied, etc. You can have a back office verification process built into the workflow. It is already there currently. Either you can enable it or disable it based on whether you're going to have a back office or not. You also have an appraisal stage where you actually perform the appraisal, where the appraisal data is collected, the credit scoring is done, and you're basically ensuring that you have all the necessary data either for sanction or rejection of the loan. Once the appraisal data is ready, it goes to in the case of SIDBI, it has been implemented with a branch credit committee in mind. So in case you don't have branch credit committee, it goes to the branch manager directly, or whoever is the authorized officer of the bank to sanction these loans. Let's say an officer can sanction up to 5 lakhs, it can directly go to that officer. So then it automatically approves the loan, then the sanction documentation is done. Once the sanction documentation is done, actually you go directly to transactions, you disburse the loan, and once you disburse the loan, you also do instrument inward. You want to do PDC, post-dated checks, and or other ECS, other kind of instruments. You want to do inward of those instruments, and later on you want to present them to the bank on the due date. And once you realize the money, you have to do realization process and do what is called as allocation of revenues to interest, principal, penalty, etc. All that stuff is automatically done. You also have a bounced and stale instrument management module here, and you have an appropriation. An automatic appropriation or appropriation with a manual override is possible. It supports ECS clients There's some customization needed here, but at a high level it supports rescheduling, foreclosure, interest rate changing, and you want to mark written off loans, and then if they're adjusted, you want to do NPA management, that is there here. You can also do other voucher entries on a need basis. Very specialized vouchers can be passed from here, right from the MEL system, so that there is a correspondence of entry. Now, apart from that, if you see here, once the sanction documentation is over, at any stage you want to look at any application status, you can click on an application and see what applications are pending at what stage, open that application. We normally do not allow editing of the application once the application reaches passes the appraisal stage, and once it reaches the credit committee. Before it reaches the credit committee or the sanctioning authority, you can possibly change the application data, because a lot of times the KYC data may come little later, some supplier data may not be finalized till then. So some such changes are allowed till that point, but once it goes to the credit committee or the sanctioning authority, no further changes to the loan application are allowed. So let's have so application status can be checked, and any pending applications can be opened up on the screen and see what data is there. You can do application editing, as I talked about. These two options are additional options here. In order to, if the application process is taking longer, these two items will help you to, restart that process without re-entering the whole data again. Now we covered the loan application process, we covered the transactions. Now it is time that we went into each of these options, and so that I can give you a quick overview of the workflow. If you look at the loan application here, let's go to the invert stage. I'm clicking on invert here, and let's see how an application is inverted. Okay. Now there is one particular application that is being entered here, so let me open it up for you. Instead of entering a new application, we'll take up an existing application which is pending for submission. So any loan application screen will have multiple tabs here. If you notice here, there's applicant detail tab here, there is a business information tab, there's a machinery details, additional addresses, promoter info, monthly income and expenditure info, banking information, and references. It is a comprehensive application. Fields are here, and a lot of these fields are automatically picked up in the credit scoring. The credit scoring model is running in the background. It is proprietary. It is not, what it does is known only to your top risk management officials in your bank, but essentially at the branch level, at the credit officer level, what is there in the credit score you don't know, so that you cannot game with it. So essentially whatever you enter here, either it impacts the credit score or it also impacts your CGT-MSE. A lot of times banks go for CGT-MSE guarantees for the MEL loans, in which case it automatically generates the CGT-MSE application form for you, so you don't have to recreate or re-enter the data. And whenever CGT-MSE opens up its interface, this can directly interface with CGT-MSE system, and you can directly upload into CGT-MSE without actually re-entering the data for CGT-MSE application. That's the beauty of this system. Normally, banks insist that the KYC is done in their core banking in the CIF module, the CIF module. That's the reason, if you notice here, we said that you can get the data from CIF. Here is the integration point to your core banking, and when you click here, it pulls the data from CIF, and then you pick whichever client you want, and then that particular client will get pulled. That KYC data gets pulled into the MEL software. Okay, that is how we pull the data. You first create the client, basic KYC client in CIF, and you pull the data here, and any further additional data that you want to add gets added in this particular screen. Now, at the top, you're selecting the product. It has also links to the SIDBI website, so that you can directly from here, same screen, you can go to the SIDBI website and check the credit score of the borrower. And there are various things here where there is a name of the borrower, loan tenure requested, moratorium requested, whether or moratorium being proposed. What is the loan type? It's a working capital term loan or a fixed asset loan, purchasing of fixed asset, or a composite WCTL and FA loan. And borrower's constitution, proprietary, individual, partnership, all these various types of constitutions are there. If you have a line of credit funding this particular loan portfolio, you can assign that line of credit to this one. There are other KYC details here. On the right again, whatever credit bureau score you see on the SIDBI or any other side, you enter here. There are ID proof details. There are address proof details. What is the document type? for each one of them, signature proof, ID proof, address proof, communication details, what is the cost of project. If there is any machinery involved, you can put some machinery details if it is available at this stage. Sometimes it may not be available at this stage. The reason why we ask you to enter machinery details is either here or before sanctioning is this software automatically generates the loan documentation. So it picks up all this data automatically into the loan documentation and creates your letter of intent or loan cum hypothecation agreement or deed, whatever. So all the loan documentation is automatically generated from the system. So that's the reason why you capture this data once so that you don't have to redo it again later. So likewise, you have business information. More importantly, let's look at monthly income and expenditure. At a high level, in your application form, you have the detailed breakup, but the summary of the liabilities, assets and income expenditure are captured here at a top level. Top line items are captured here. You have banking information, what banks, in case the customer already has prior banking experience, with which banks is he working with, that banking information is given here. SIDBI rating is taken on the available loans. That is, in case this particular client has already taken a loan with SIDBI, what is SIDBI's rating of the client is also captured here. Okay, so you may have some existing clients already who may come for MEL, in which case you can use this. So there are machinery details, business. I'm not getting into each one of the tasks, but this is just to assure you that we have a comprehensive application form which most probably should meet 95% of your bank's needs with some little changes. Now, having said that, now we completed the application in Word. Let's look, and the verification stage, in all probability, some of the banks may not require verification because there is an automated process. But we recommend once you have a back office, when the scale and the volume of MEL goes up quite a bit, it's better to have a centralized back office so that they can do telephone verification of the client. So with that in mind, we created this workflow step. If you want it, you can retain it. If you don't want it, you can have it disabled. Okay, but basically at this stage, right now it's a simple screen. What you're essentially doing is the back office executive calls this person and updates this particular screen. It just has the phone numbers, everything, and then anything you want to add for a verification, who is the reference call that you made to, who verified on, what are the verification remarks. A very simple screen, but you can enhance it further based on the verification process you have in your bank. If you have any other checklist items that you can add, you want to add, you can add them in this screen.